I said, all these are investigators. There was like 6 people. You can do it at any time. No, those are all the attorneys.
I was gonna do that.
I said, just from CSI here, yeah, that was a $2 million invoice got burned out. Right? So, they were measuring everything. And then, so he goes, who took down the note, semis will get moved outside? I go, how did you even know it was there? He said, oh, we have pictures of every one of our. We think it was taken down between this day.
He does golf, he doesn't realize that's his athletic ability.
They think it was due. They said, they're on a pole. Well, they thought it was our record. They said, it's on that pole. And now there's people there, and that sign's not there. And I said, that is Duke. That is not. That is Duke took our sign. That's you.
No, I didn't.
Yeah.
What was in that truck?
I don't know. GG.
I wish it was like 12 or something. Just get smashed in.
That guy went big, like,
Years ago.
yeah.
The lamb. The thing with the lamb.
Here.
She-
No.
Pig.
I did hear the pigs.
Yeah. Train ride. There are people that are wrong.
Oh, yeah.
I got a call from Arkansas.
And then one wanted to read
He always looks really fancy for our meetings too, so.
I think I forgot how to type.
It's COVID.
Yeah, it's on the drive.
I do know how to have a double window.
I never learned how to do the double.
That's hard.
I had a basketball coach that made us learn how to tie ties. Because they said, he thought that was important for us to know too.
So you guys know, the door open for extra COVID measures. I'm gonna try it, see if it works. It gets too noisy or whatever.
So if we are open, it's like we're outside.
Yeah, it helps. That's recommended.
Okay.
Recommended practice? Yeah, that'll work.
That fresh air.
In the fresh air. Yeah, it's all you're doing.
The air that's existing, yeah. Common sense, right? Okay.
We don't talk about it.
Oh, yeah. No. Yeah.
I can never get it situated.
I started reading into it, not about like, and I can understand why it's gonna be. But yeah.
Yes, was it someone?
Yeah.
I'm gonna pick one, she's 25 and healthy.
I've got two of them. In case someone messes with that.
You got some folks that are older in the office.
I bet. Well, then
We all live in
that's the best part is that nobody's told to ask any questions about it. The paper fault, and that was it. Like, it was very.
All you gotta do is listen to what they say.
I can use that. And just follow it. Just follow it. That's 25 by 30.
Well, you may catch something else, that's code.
It looks really good.
Yeah.
I bet. Oh, for sure. Michael and I go way back to upsetting times. Yeah. It could be a little.
Tip, you doing all right?
Oh, I'm sure,
Oh, that's what we're doing.
Crazy year, man.
Pretty good.
It is. I've been hit with several.
And he puts other stuff.
yeah.
You're in that part.
I don't think.
That's all you like. You get-
I'm not worried about that.
He comes to go
I'm just trying to
around.
think.
You'd be okay.
No,
I haven't used it.
Yeah.
But is there an election? Okay.
Well, you can raise it on some of the drains.
Because I thought my luck. I thought my luck is that I will be like, oh, I forgot something on the internet, and then the alarm will go off, and like, the alarm will show up and like the whole
I
thing.
think that'll draw people out.
I think it'll show people happy to go there already.
It's not for kids.
Oh, yeah, the expensive one.
Hey, Rachel, are you ready on?
Now, I want to ask about the batteries, like the Disneyville, like the.
I just did.
They sell gas.
Any idea what happened?
The little pop, yeah,
Good man.
at the battery store.
It's very loud.
Music like gold or something like that.
Yep.
Whatever you are.
I don't think. they're recording this.
All right, you guys, 6 o'clock. Let's go ahead and this guy gets the door shut. We'll get started. All right, if you would, I'd like to take a moment of silence. All right, thank you. Sammy, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we'll have a roll call.
Robert Jones,
Oh, here.
Marissa Skaggs,
Here.
Shane Davis,
Here.
Steve Denny.
Here.
All right,
Jeff Bebb's not here.
we have a quorum. Let's have a approval of minutes for October 8th and October 21st.
Did you want to do them individually or?
We can, if you want to do that, we do.
You may make a
Let's look at
motion to.
October 8th.
Sure.
Have a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the October 8th minutes.
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second. Roll call vote.
Robert Jones,
Aye.
Marissa Skaggs,
Aye.
Shane Davis,
Aye.
Steve Denny.
Approved. October 21st.
Make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Roll call vote.
Steve Denny,
Yes.
Shane Davis,
Aye.
Marissa Skaggs,
Aye.
Robert Jones.
Aye.
All right, minutes approved. All right, before we go to the clerk treasurer's report, I would like to make a, I'd like to get a motion to amend ordinance 20-13. We had a, you say a clerical error? on-
Typo, yeah.
A typo on the rates. We do have these.
Mr. Vice President, you'll need to move first to amend the agenda. To
Okay,
add
sorry,
that-
amend the agenda. Sorry to add this. The change to 20-13. So you make a motion to approve the, or to amend the agenda
So moved.
to add this.
So moved.
Second. Motion is second to amend the agenda to add ordinance 20-13. Roll call.
Robert Jones.
Aye.
Marissa Skaggs.
Aye.
Shane Davis.
Aye.
Steve Denny.
Motion carries. Okay, as I was saying, 20-13, we just had a typo on the rates of to have our guys do work. You guys,
It was just. a
Yes.
number.
number?
Can you read that change? So
Yeah.
People watching and listening can get that. It is written down. Change. Linda,
Yeah, I'm good.
do we normally,
That's Dawn.
Dawn, I'm sorry, Dawn, do we normally change the, do we do a new ordinance number on amendments or we just do first amendment to 2013?
Yeah, we can just do an amendment to the
Okay.
original.
So this would be first amendment to ordinance 2013 to correct a typographical error.
Yes, and if we'll show it's a lineman. We had down $58 an hour when it should have been $78 an hour for the standard rate. And on their overtime rate, it was showing $87 when it should have been $117 per hour. It's we'll have the change up on.
Correct, that's
The corrected
handwritten.
version,
You can
it's
pass it
handwritten.
like that one. We'll get a clean one and attach that one too.
It's just handwritten. And we have to have two readings to,
Yeah, if there's a motion to pass the amendment, it could be made at this time if you want to invite that change.
I would like to invite the motion to approve the change to fix the typo.
We'll make a motion to that effect.
I'll second. I have a motion and a second. Roll call vote.
Marissa Skaggs.
Aye.
Robert Jones.
Aye.
Steve Denny.
Aye.
Shane Davis.
Aye.
Now we need that.
I'd like to entertain a motion to amend the rules to do a second vote.
I'll make a motion to suspend the rules.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second to suspend the rules for second reading. Roll call.
Robert Jones.
Aye.
Marissa Skaggs.
Aye.
Shane Davis.
Aye.
Steve Denny.
Motion approved. So we'll get this and
Now we need the second reading.
second reading of the,
Very efficient, I know.
yeah.
So moved.
To make the change. So move.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. On the second reading of 20-13. Roll call vote.
Robert Jones.
Aye.
Marissa Skaggs.
Aye.
Steve Denny.
Aye.
Shane Davis.
Aye. Approved. All right. Uh-oh. Okay, now on to the clerk treasurer's report.
All righty, I think you've all seen the allowance dockets. Our general fund is in good shape, 373,323. Looks like it's almost right in line with 18 and 19. A couple other things. We were allocated $139,378 for COVID reimbursement for supplies and different things we need for COVID. At the present time, we've turned in $123,088. We still have $16,209 that we were going to get reimbursed before the end of the year. And I think with the COVID testing of employees and some other COVID supplies, we'll get every penny of that back. That's all I've got.
There you go. Any questions on the clerk treasurer's report?
I do not.
Not, entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion we approve the clerk treasurer's report.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second. Roll call vote.
Steve Denny.
Aye.
Shane Davis.
Aye.
Marissa Skaggs.
Aye.
Robert Jones.
Aye.
Clerk treasurer report's approved. Department reports, fire department. Is the chief online?
Maybe I don't recall.
Yeah,
Did you get a call?
yeah, they have a
Yeah,
structure fire.
structure fire.
Yeah, they just went by.
He probably tied up.
He's not on, like, you can, he's still logged in, but I don't see him.
Don't see him, okay.
They got a house fire going.
First things first, right?
Yep. All right.
Let me ask you if I could on fire, I know, Chief's not here, but maybe Steve or I'm on the ambulance service here, getting a lot of inquiries about the status of the fire territory and that. There again, Chief's not here, though. Steve, if you got any update on that or a committee report or where we are on that issue?
I missed the last meeting because I was out of town on vacation, but just through conversation, right now, the status would be where Fall Creek and Pendleton, and I think they're doing analysis for Ingalls to be involved in the fire territory. Obviously, the analysis has not come back yet, and the meeting was just to redo an alignment from the initial 4-member territory, which also would have included Green Township. Green Township has now since been, I don't want to say kicked off, but not kicked off, but just removed from consideration at this time. And now it's with Fall Creek, Pendleton, and Ingalls. That's what I've been told since I missed the last meeting.
I was there, that's, yeah, you're right. Okay, yeah. Green Township pulled back a little bit. Not that they're still part of the discussion, but they want to do, and it's what you were there too, they want to analyze what it would be like if it was parcel by parcel analysis of the property taxes. Pendleton, Ingalls, and Fall Creek Township.
Okay. Do we know anything on if we're shooting for, maybe you want to wait on Chiefs, right? If I'm got a line of questions.
No,
Please say
that's
so.
fine.
If we're shooting for territory for 22, that's still on the time frame, and we got deadlines. I think I've seen the state by April 1, if I'm correct on that. Roughly around
That's,
there.
yes, you'll be
Got
seeing,
public hearings.
you'll be
Is there
seeing.
a timetable set up. To me, that's not done yet, but we have a timetable set up on.
A tentative timetable, it was like Councilman Davis or Denny said, the financial analysis is still in process, so we want to, before we go to the public and we want to know what those numbers are. We don't yet.
Absolutely.
But yeah, if it's a go, then you're going to be seeing things not maybe even as early as your next meeting, but certainly by January. Then we're running up where the time becomes very close. You have, I think, 2 or 3 public hearings,
Okay.
and that's not just us. It would be any other participating unit. So
does each participating units have to have their own pre-hearing for? Ingalls have one, we'd have one, Fall Creek would have one, Green Township is left.
yes,
Okay. So each would have to have.
each one that ends up ultimately wanting to participate in 22, and then if there's a new one formed or new one added, then we'll do things again.
Yeah.
But
Right.
yeah.
Could be a challenge to get in place for 22, then if you get hiccups with that.
It won't be a challenge. Absolutely. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Thank you.
Bob, I had a conversation with Mr. Valentine, Green Township this week, and I think he's got over the initial being aggravated, realized that, we can only do 3 to start with and add 1. And we actually talked about negotiating for next year's price for service out there until they can come into the territory. So
Contractual.
he's online, I think.
Thank you.
Can I get a motion to approve the fire department report as wrote down?
So move.
I'll second.
Motion second to approve the fire department report. They get a roll call vote.
Bob Jones,
Aye.
Marissa Skaggs,
Aye.
Shane Davis.
Aye.
Steve Denny.
Police department.
Good evening. Got a few things I'd like to highlight tonight. Between having 513 dispatch calls last month, we did a lot of other stuff on top of that. So we've completed all our mandated training for the year, which is academy mandates, but we also included topics, Kids Talk, which you may hear that program in the county. It's where they interview children that have been witnesses or victims of a crime. And they have great special forensic powers to be able to talk to kids better than we do. And it's recognized by the prosecutor. And so now it's almost a mandate that that's how we do our interviews. So we played catch up. They've got some new people working for them. It's a great program. Division of Family and Children, they have some new supervisors. They came down to introduce themselves, talk about how they can help us and us helping them. That was a good thing. Sudden infant death syndrome, mental illness, implicit bias training, and prosecutor updates. So that brings us up to speed on all the training for the year. We also completed the firearms for the year and the emergency vehicle operating. So we only have 2 officers right now that still have to do the defense tactics, which is a psychomotor skill. And that's me and Stan Brown. So we'll finish that up before the end of the year. Drug take back day. This was kind of interesting. I spent 2 hours out there collecting medications, and this year I think I only took in if 12 pounds, which is abnormal. Usually it's a lot more than that, but I think having the drop box now in town, because I'm getting them all the time. My office has a collection in the corner. I'm getting ready to go down to Covanta hopefully next week and do a drug run down to Covanta. But I think having the box has prevented people from sitting on them for so long. So it's become a positive. Dealing with them's negative, but getting them out of the water sources and stuff like that's a good thing. And it's one thing we offer that people actually get genuinely excited to come and get rid of them. So it's a positive. Pelton PD training facility. I want to again say thank you to the town council for giving the storage shed behind the building to the police department. By giving us that building, I know it collected money and revenue, but what you've allowed your department to have is a training facility that's second to none in Madison County currently. No other small department that we dream of having something like that, and nobody can afford it or have it. There's no other agency in Madison County has one of these, this scenario-based training facility that we're building. A lot of people, you hear the term Hogan's Alley from back in the FBI days, where you go downtown and everything shoots at you, or you hear the term shoot house. What we're doing with this facility, while we will be doing firearms training in it, we'll also be able to do scenario-based, like a brand new officer reporting to responding to a domestic. And it literally has front door like a house. You'll make entry and you'll have to do the paperwork, the photography, the scene tech. So you're learning way more than just the firearms portion. And again, if we didn't have that facility, we would, because I plan on sharing with other agencies. So you've now increased the training ability to all agencies in Madison County, as far as I'm concerned. And I know Fisher SWAT's already interested in coming. Today I had one of the SWAT members from the sheriff's department in, and he was just literally like a little kid. He excited about how we built it. So you're more than welcome. You're invited. I want you to come up and see it. I actually, at some point, we have every intention of bringing in the FATS training, which is the firearms training simulator, and then do scenarios with the community. I've been wanting to do that for years and just never had the place to do it. So we've got it. Thank you again. I'm super excited. It's like a boy with a new tree house. So thank you again. This was kind of interesting. This fell on my desk. Had a fraud case in town where a woman
was receiving stolen goods, changing out the mailing labels, and then sending it off to what she believed to be an orphanage. It actually was going to some street fair in Pakistan, because when I called the guy, all I could hear was mopeds running around behind him and cars honking, and he couldn't speak to me. But as far as she knew, this guy loved her, and he was donating these goods to orphans. And my point of bringing this story up, because this ended up, my office was full of stolen stuff. Luckily, I got some of the companies to donate the stolen stuff, clothing to outfitters and soccer equipment to our local soccer league. So that was a win for the community. But be aware, if you know anybody who elderly, middle-aged, looking for love, using social media, and they get into something where, honey, I love you, can you just do this for me? Please do not hesitate to question it. Contact us, whatever it is. This woman, she thoroughly believed this man loved her. She actually crocheted blankets for the orphans. So that's how I knew she was suckered. And this particular incident didn't absorb money from her, but a lot of time and effort and my time and her time and storing all this stolen stuff. So it's amazing. And we had a lady the other day, I think she spent over 18 grand in one of these out of her. Luckily, on a small town, our bank people know our people, and they're able to say, hey, let's look at this. But I do know one lady the other day spent upwards of 18 grand. So my point of sharing that is just be aware that stuff does happen and to be mindful of it. Like I said, 513 calls last month, 40 adult arrests, which that's down. I think we had 50 some the month before in September. So 18 crash reports, tickets, and then one local ordinance on a commercial truck violation. And again, like I said earlier, and I was being funny, but the signs are missing out west. So we're getting a lot of grief on the chatter about not doing our job. And unless they want to go into a town and get a ticket when they weren't warned of what the speed was, that's not how you enforce law. So the guys are mindful of it. The easy ones right now is the guy that goes up on 425 and gets stuck at 600. There's so many signs there. They deserve 5 tickets when they do it. So if you have any questions for me, like I said, come up and visit. I'd love to show you the scenario-based training facility. And that's it for us.
Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you.
Okay, your motion to approve the police report.
I'll make a motion to present the police report as presented.
I'll second that.
Roll call.
Robert Jones,
Aye.
Marissa Skaggs,
Aye.
Shane Davis,
Aye.
Steve Denny.
Court report. The judge on? Judge, are you there?
Hey, Judge G, can you unmute yourself? Like we're phoning a friend. Yes. I can't hear you. We can't hear you on the laptop, but I got you on speaker on my phone.
Lesser resilient. Again, that's where I was tied into. I could hear you all fine, but I thought you could hear me also. Court report. Nothing. COVID continues to tear the heck out of the number of people we're able to see. We continue to work with the prosecutor remotely, segregating things during the entire process. We keep people definitely 6 foot apart and are working on an hourly schedule for a minimum of 10 people per. The only other positive thing is the fact our collection agency, which goes after delinquent infractions, This come back so far for 3 quarters, we'll be able to pick up over $3,000 in prior expenses that we'll have through the charges. Nothing further. Any questions?
Any questions for the judge?
I do not.
Thank you, Judge.
Thanks, Judge G.
Thank you very much.
Can I get a motion to approve the court?
So moved.
Second.
Can I have a roll call vote?
Steve Denny.
Aye.
Shane Davis.
Aye.
Marissa Skaggs.
Aye.
Robert Jones.
Aye.
Park Department. I think everybody received an email about that today. Do you have any information on that, Rachel, at all? Anything that-
No. I wasn't part of the email, so.
you
I didn't
get
get
it?
the email either.
You didn't?
There's the-
Hang on.
Awesome. Thanks.
Get Aaron your email address. So you can.
It's all right.
Before you move on, one thing I'd like to mention has to do with the park. The golf course just passed 400,000 in sales last week. And they're doing a really good job out there and picking up good. Weather's helped a lot. So congratulations to those guys.
I know they've done a lot of work out there. I'm out there a lot, so I see it. They've done tremendous things. The guys working out there, it's unbelievable where it was last year to where it is this year.
We have a new handicap ramp that's approved out there that was basically donated by Swackhammer Concrete and turned out really nice and really appreciate it out there.
Cool. Good job of the trees. The park is still involved in that on the whole volunteers, about 300 trees. Good piece of work. Yeah. Rachel, you were heavily involved in that.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about it.
Oh, all
too,
right,
so.
okay.
Well, if there's no question on the park report,
I didn't know.
motion approved.
So moved.
I'll second.
Roll call.
Robert Jones.
Aye.
Marissa Skaggs.
Aye.
Shane Davis.
Aye.
Steve Denny.
Aye.
Town manager report.
All right, hi, everybody. First thing is, we did have 2 employees test positive for COVID, and then a household member on a 3rd employee. So we're increasing our efforts, and we're gonna go into what I call compartmentalization practices. Out at the barn, the guys are gonna divide into two-man teams, and that'll be semi-permanent. They'll get their own space at the barn or a separate building. The 2 water treatment plant operators, one will be based out of the new one and one will be based out of the old water treatment plant, and they'll stay separate because we've only got 2. Donnie Myers would be our backup if both of them did go down. Here inside the building, as you can see, we're stricter about the public that comes in. We're going to control that more. People that work downstairs, no meetings, and another person stay out of everybody's office, basically what I tell them. No meetings, like sales rep wants to come in and sell us something, we're not going to meet with them personally. So we're trying to compartmentalize as much as possible. Let's see if anybody have any questions on that. I signed a contract to start Franklin Street design, and that's this week. And our goal is to use Community Crossings grant. So that'll be for construction. It'll be at 25% on our part, 75% on the NDOT. We've been continuing to do a lot of stormwater line jetting. I mentioned it before, it costs us $1,000 a day. I will tell you this, I don't know how water is making it out of the town. We find collapsed lines everywhere. And I will tell you this, because the technology didn't exist for 10, 20 years ago, I don't think our stormwater lines have ever been maintained and cleaned out. So pessimistic note. We are starting to get some flow in some areas. I've talked a lot about the line that runs between Elm Street and Madison Avenue. That seems to be doing okay. It'll still back up a little bit, but nothing like we've seen before. We've only had one real rain since we started an aggressive jetting program. The only place we had backed up water was on Main Street at Tile. So if you see water backing up in somebody's yard, give me a call because I want to go see it next rain. The stormwater fee, the engineer's report has been completed. There is a draft version. It has been presented to the stormwater board. And the next step is that Baker Tilly will take that and turn that into a maximum recommended fee. The town can go less, probably can't go more than what Baker Tilly recommends. And the engineer's report basically lists what our annual costs are and then put engineers' estimates to 8 projects that, major projects that would help solve the problems here in town. Next slide. Anybody have any questions on that? Okay, we started also aggressive tree trimming. I've talked about that in the previous meeting, but now it's actually happening. This is the power lines that run behind Subway between State Street and Old 132, and you probably didn't even know we had power lines there because they were hidden. But this is what it looks like. You can see the Bobcat that has that little Banshee type machine on the front that just eats anything in its way. And it looks pretty good. They went to Michelle Lane. People were ecstatic out there. We didn't have one complaint. I had one person call me, was concerned they wanted to save one tree, and after the forester went and talked to her, she was more than happy to get rid of the tree. So she knows how to talk magic when it comes to trees. Next slide, please. Oh, the next place they'll be, and they started work on it today, by the way, is behind the power lines that run parallel to Broadway along the tracks, that area. So that'll be probably easier to look at. You want to see what they're doing. As far as good jobs, electric department 2 Sundays ago had 2 poles right next to each other snapped there at Pendleton Avenue and Reformatory Road. They had to work on that for about 8 hours. They had to set new poles, of course. Water line and storm lines were in the way. It was not easy for them. Plus it was still windy and they had some other outages. Street department, like I talked about, they've been working hard on the storm water issues. We've been very aggressive about leaf pickup this year. I hope you see the difference. It's constant, plus the street sweepers getting out there consistently. There was parts of town up around Hunsinger Farm that had some rust-colored water, and our guys they had to work several days to figure out what the issue was. A couple phone calls with some experts, and basically now that the new water treatment plant's got a little bit of seasons itself a little bit, been online for a while, is that we just need to be more aggressive with backwashing. And then of course the planning and park department, South Madison Community Foundation, DNR, and I left somebody off. Who was it? Arbor Foundation?
Arbor Day Foundation.
Arbor Day Foundation. Wow, if you saw that project happen a couple Saturdays ago, it was amazingly well organized. So hats off to our guys and girls in the planning department, especially Rachel. And with that, I will turn it over to her for a planning department report.
So Scott and I thought it would work out well if I gave some updates on things that are going on in planning, since we have so many projects around town that you guys need to be aware of. Like he said, the DNR project that we just did, or the tree planting one, we did 314 trees in a day. And I think it went off without a hitch, which was amazing. I had a really good team helping us get everything together and prepared for that day. If you guys end up doing like a community partner of the year, we really need to look at South Madison Community Foundation. The way that they've helped us recover from the tornado has just been incredible. And we are so lucky to have a foundation in our own community. Moving on though, if you guys look at our monthly building permit summary, last month we had, let's see, 28 new home issue, or 28 permits issued. We have that compared to 2019, which we were at 23 for November, or for what month are we in? October. The number of new home permits that we issued, it was 16, compared last year was only 1. And you can see the estimated cost of improvement was at $4 million, whereas last year we were under $1 million for the month of October, which is really incredible. If you look at our 2020 year-to-date totals, we have 132 permits that we issued, which when you compare it to our 2019 year-to-date totals, we are lower. However, 2019, of course, we had the tornado, so we were having a ton more permits coming in for siding, for roofs, for fences getting replaced. So those numbers are a little unusual for 2019. You can see though, our year-to-date totals on new homes being constructed in Pendleton. We had 38 issues so far compared to last year, which was only 13. I'm going to scroll down to the second page and just give you an update on the subdivisions that we have active. We do have Carrot Glen. The secondary plats have been approved for all phases. And you know that we are building homes currently right now in phases 1A and B. In Hunsinger Farm, Maplewood 3 infrastructure is nearly complete. That's that little horseshoe loop that's connecting the two roads. And homes will be going up soon in that section. We do have Maplewood 4 active, which is connecting to State Road 9. The actual earth moving will be starting soon, and road construction will happen in the spring. And then State Road 9, just so you're aware, will be used as the construction entrance. And we've gotten a lot of phone calls in the office if Fairfield Lane will be connecting to Lantern Meadows, and that's going to be the county's decision. We have it drawn so that that connection can be made one day, but it's really going to be up to the county. And when we talk to the county, they're waiting for the new commissioners to come in to be able to make a decision at that time. So we're expecting sometime in January to know more about that. For Pendle Point, we're working with Mustard Builders and Rail to get the final phase of Pendle Point recorded and then built out. And the Falls subdivision, the outer ring of that neighborhood is filling up. The center lots are still vacant, and we are still working through the stormwater drainage issues with the Pines. So we just sent out a letter today, and hopefully we'll be moving forward on that soon. Other than that, if you guys have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them about planning projects. I'd say thank you for hiring a town manager, and we have our building inspector on board, and it has been working out great, and the team is coming together well. So it's been a relief, and I feel like we're starting to get back on track with projects that have become back burner projects. So thanks, guys. And like
Richard touched on the drainage issue. There are clients on negotiation with that. Is there an issue that they're not on board with on that? Or I think right now the weather's been dry and it's not an issue, and that's subject to change any time and gets wet, then you can't do that kind of work.
So real quick, so we had Banning Engineering come out and do a survey, because we wanted to start from the beginning and see what we actually had. And they determined that there is probably not enough capacity to take on the water from the falls. So Banning has talked to the falls engineer. There was an exchange of information. I don't know what they have done so far, but we've not seen any action. They may be doing some things internally. So we sent a letter today basically saying that we're going to cap the number of permits at 10, because every time we build a house, that means more stormwater runoff. And Also,
I think we capped at 20.
I'm sorry, 20, there's almost 10 already in place. And then the lots that are on the inner circle, we're not gonna allow any building on that, just in case that needs to be used as a stormwater detention. So that's where we sit, and we sent the letter to Coronado today and Arbor.
Yeah. We're capping out for 20 now, but we're gonna do something and they can build the 20, but then that would be it until we get this resolved.
Yeah, because
This is.
there was already indication, physical indication that was at capacity. And, you know, we can't have the, for lack of a better term, the dam breach. Then there's a whole bunch of other issues too. And there has been silt built up since the falls went in. Because of the dry weather, the pond had dried up, and so we were able, the survey team was able to go down, take pictures, survey it, and you could tell that there's been, since the pipe opened up from the falls basically 3 years ago, that there was silt built up at that pipe. So that wouldn't occur had there not been water flowing.
Right. Okay. At least you're in a position to have some leverage over permits that they can.
And moving forward with new subdivisions, we likely won't get into situations like this. This subdivision in particular was approved back in 2008, and it was, approved, it was platted, secondary plat was done, so everything was already a done deal, and then it came back, the recession hit, so nothing was constructed out there, and then the builder and the developer came and, started building within the past couple of years. So, we, moving forward, will have maintenance bond in place so that if there are issues like this in the future, then we can go back and fix these things. So it's just one of those unique situations that we've had from the recession again. So.
Yeah. Thank you.
Can I get a motion to approve the town manager's report?
So moved.
Second. Roll call.
Robert Jones,
Aye.
Marissa Skaggs,
Aye.
Shane Davis,
Aye.
Steve Denny.
All right, move on to old business, ordinance 20-20. Establishing a moratorium on certain residential primary plat petitions. Scott, you want to speak on this, or we just gonna have this is the second reading for this?
Yeah, it was introduced at your last meeting. I know there was some concern that Councilman Jones had about with, local businesses and things of that nature, so it was,
Have we got any phone calls on that or any messages? No?
We have a comment here we'd like to make this evening.
it's up to you. If you can certainly invite public comment. It's not a public hearing, so it's completely up to the vice president if you'd like to hear the comment.
Yeah, we'll entertain a comment.
Thank you, sir. Good evening. My name is Edward Valenti. I'm with Decker Lawyer Mayor, and we represent Pendleton Development LLC and Mr. Urbans. If I may approach, I have some materials for you. If everyone's interested, it's a letter that we've drafted regarding the passage of this ordinance. We didn't have a chance to review it prior to your meeting. There's 6 copies there, one for everyone here plus Mr. Graham. But in our review of it subsequently, we have several concerns regarding its statutory authority and its constitutionality. There are several state statutes, as you'll see in the letter, that detail the process that happens when a primary plat application or a zoning application comes in. It states specifically what the planning department must do and how it must do it. it doesn't give, unfortunately, it does not give local government the wherewithal or the leeway to impede that process. This ordinance as proposed would impede the actual processing of these applications. We believe that there's a statutory conflict. Additionally, there are, it seems strange to say this meeting, town meeting, but there are constitutional issues with this statute, or this ordinance that you're proposing. Government bodies must provide for due process and equal protection to all those that come before them. This ordinance is creating a subclass of petitioner that arrives before the town, those seeking to do large residential developments. And it's treating that subclass differently than all other petitioners that are coming before the town. That's both due process and equal protection issues there. On the due process issue, government services can't be denied due to lack of resources or funding. I know that we've had, as Rachel said, you're very happy that you've added more resources to the planning department. At the end of the day, the town cannot simply state we are not taking applications without having due process violations due to lack of resources. You'll need to provide more resources to your planning department. Similarly, with the equal protection problems, you've created a subclass that you are treating differently. That inherently is going to invite scrutiny. Now, scrutiny is going to look and see, why are you doing that? The answer is, if the only answer is, we're sorry, our planning department is buried under the weight of recent events, the answer is going to be then provide your planning department with more resources. You cannot deny government services of a petition to petitioners before you due to lack of resources. So we would strenuously object to the passage of this ordinance. And if this ordinance is passed, we will have to review with our client how he wishes to respond up to and including, you do have a pending complaint involving the town. You may amend the complaint. We don't know. We'll have to speak with the client on that, but we would urge you, let's not go down that road and let's revise or not pass this ordinance. Thank you for your time this evening. Any questions for me?
We'll defer to our legal counsel. Can't be any comments.
No, and the moratorium makes an exception for folks that already have vested rights of development of a property at the time, as that term is defined in Indiana law. And if and when a proposal is given during the existence of this moratorium, should you pass it, we can certainly look at each of those petitions on a case-by-case basis. So whether to hear them or not. The moratorium, in my opinion, I looked into the issues that Ed brought up, and they're well taken. But I believe this passes muster.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. No, you're looking at it. I certainly understand the intent of why we want to do this. A good little time there. We've had a couple of challenging years, tornado and pandemic and things going on. So that whatever we do, not trying to circumvent anyone or be a roadblock to any developer, we've got to get this stuff right. What we do is follow our comprehensive plan and get up to speed. The planning department feels comfortable with the planning commission. It's your up to the vision where you need to be to move the town forward for the good of the community as a whole, including any future developers that would want to locate here. Right. So I still think I would support we still move forward with this moratorium as far as second reading. I think we certainly understand your comments and concerns, but I think the bigger picture, in my mind anyway, is what's best for the town as a whole, and the planning commission and the staff need to be comfortable with where we are, and we have our ducks in place, and we're proceeding in an orderly fashion. I think we should proceed with this second reading.
So, that motion.
I'll make a motion that we adopt this ordinance on second reading.
I have a motion for ordinance 20-20. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Motion is second. Can I have a roll call vote, please?
Robert Jones.
Aye.
Marissa Skaggs.
Aye.
Shane Davis,
Aye.
Steve Denny.
Aye.
Ordinance 20-20 passes. Go on to new business. Public hearing on regarding the additional appropriation. Scott, do you want to speak on that, or should I just go ahead and read this?
If you go ahead and read it, we do need to invite public on this one as a
Yes.
public hearing. We have a choice on that.
Notice is hereby given to the taxpayers of the town of Pendleton, Madison County, Indiana, that the proper legal officers will consider the following additional appropriations in excess of the budget for the current year at the regular meeting place at Pendleton Town Hall, 100 West State Street, Pendleton, Indiana, 46064 at 6 p.m. on the 12th day of November, 2020. The fund is the police wage fund, amount of $16,500. General fund, $16,500. Taxpayers appearing at the meeting shall have the right to be heard. The additional appropriations, as finally made, will be referred to the Department of Local Government Finance. The department will make a written determination to the sufficiency of the funds to support the appropriations within 15 days of receipt of a certified copy of the action taken. It is a policy of the town of Pendleton that all public meetings and events comply with the Title II of the Americans with Disabilities Act and are accessible to people with disabilities. Individuals with disabilities are defined under the ADA. You may need auxiliary aid services or special modifications to participate in the public meetings, or event should contact the office of Pendleton Town Clerk as soon as possible, but no less than 48 hours before the scheduled meeting or event. Dated September 30th, 2020. This is giving the police department an extra $16,500 for.
This is basically giving each personnel there $1,500 to cover expenses that they incurred with COVID. Everything from extra washing of their clothes to buying their own disinfectant, the little gloves, everything. So I think this is just a small token of what they deserve.
Does this also cover like hazard pay or actually, I mean, during the outbreak of COVID, a lot of the town employees worked from home. The police department couldn't do that. Obviously.
And I know that President Babb, that was one of his, on this, he initiated this request. So that was one of the things he specifically mentioned. Councilman.
I think it's a valid point. I mean, a lot of us can work from home, but the police department obviously cannot do that. Public safety in general cannot do that. So I think we should recognize that. And if we are in a position to support that and help out with that, I think we should definitely proceed with that. They would have had out-of-pocket costs and related to that. I think we should offset some of that and the risk that they run by being exposed, by being out serving the public. And there's other towns, communities who have done this.
I've done this in the past, yeah.
Yeah, we're not the Lone Ranger on this, by any means.
Any other questions, comments on this? Do we have to have two readings or just one reading on this? Just the one?
Just one, and you must invite public comment as well.
And yes, I will take any public comment on this. Rachel, is there anybody online that has any?
I mean, there's people online, but no one is.
No one's raising their hand. All right, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So move.
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Robert Jones.
Aye.
Marissa Skaggs.
Aye.
Shane Davis.
Aye.
Steve Denny.
Aye.
The appropriation passes. All right, let's move on to resolution 20-09.
Real quick, Shane.
Huh?
Yeah.
Go ahead,
Yeah.
chief.
Just want to, on behalf of the guys, thank you again. It's a small token to recognize the job above the normal. And, the fear everybody else is feeling about COVID, the guys are feeling it the same way. We don't know whether to touch this, go in this house, be around this person, but we have to. And I appreciate you seeing that, recognizing it, and
I know the guys appreciate it also. Thank you. And the community, you know, the outreach to us has been wonderful too. People have seen that. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Chief.
you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay.
Now resolution 20-09. Authorizing, that's the same thing.
That's it, yeah, that's what they
That's
just
just
passed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Let's go to 20-25. The ordinance, the official zone map to certain real estate within the town of Pendleton.
We have MI Homes here tonight. They've requested a rezone of what we usually call around here the Begley property, Outback Sports Complex and State Road 67. There is a presentation that they gave to the Plan Commission last week, and I'm going to go ahead and maybe turn it over to you guys and let you guys introduce your project. And then after they talk about their project, I'll go into what my staff recommendation was to the Plan Commission, and we can talk about the commitments that MI has put forth for the rezone. Does that sound fair? All right.
Rachel, do you want detail then from John and Tim about the nature of the project and about the layout? And-
Yes, let's go ahead and do just like we did for Plan Commission, if you don't mind.
I'll give you a new one.
You want a new one here? I put your new layout in here.
I probably don't, but-
Then we're good.
Okay, if I could, my name is Mike Costa, and I'm an attorney in Anderson, office at 911 Green Street, Anderson 46016. And we've been before the Planning Commission several times on this project. And I'm here tonight with two representatives for MI Homes. The petitioner, Tim Westerfield, the nearest to me, and John Isaacs. And they both work with land acquisition in that department for MI Homes. So I think you're all familiar with what we're talking about. The tract owned it's actually part owned by Prairie Creek Partnership, which is solely Dr. Beckley, I understand it, and then part owned by South Mass and Community Foundation. So we're dealing with about 55 acres. We did receive at the Planning Commission just last week a favorable recommendation by a 5-2 vote. So we're pleased with that. There have been numerous meetings with Rachel and Kayla and Scott. With Tim, John, I've attended some of those meetings. They've been very constructive meetings, a lot of information exchanged, and they've really kind of led up to the commitments that have been prepared that we're ready to talk about at this meeting. And the commitments were prepared in particular to respond to some of the concerns that the town had. So there's been quite a bit of effort and discussion which have led up to these commitments. And I'll give you one example of where we started was a entrance in the middle of the project. So that would be between County Road 600 South and Campbellwood Drive. And the planning department had concerns about that middle entrance. There was feedback from NDOT, feedback from the Council of Governments about that. And so in response to those concerns, and after dealing with Rachel and Kayla and Scott about that issue of the middle entrance, the project has been redesigned to have an entrance on the south side of the real estate off of Campbellwood Drive. So there's been other things we talked about. Obviously, at this stage of the game, we're really just talking about zoning. We're talking about whether this particular tract of real estate is property that should be rezoned. So it's currently an ag zoning, AG zoning, and what we're seeking is a TF zoning or a two-family zoning. And what's contemplated here is some paired villas, kind of like a duplex product, costing about $250,000 per unit. And then single family units costing roughly in the $300,000 range. That's what we're talking about. So I think John can provide some detail about this. And I do want to extend our appreciation to everybody, Jeff and Rachel and the staff for their professionalism and their courtesy. We really appreciated working with them. So thank you very much. I apologize for my attire. If I knew Scott was going to dress up tonight, I would have done a better job here.
Good evening, Jonathan Isaacs, within my homes. I had Tim pass out a document that is roughly the presentation that Rachel will have on the board in front of you. Obviously, I think everyone knows where the property is located, and so I'm going to go to the third page, which is the actually go one more. Or actually go there. That's good. Let's say that. So this property is fairly unique, other than the fact that it's adjacent to the park. There is a lot of terrain on this property, which is something that we don't typically see in central Indiana for the most part for developable ground. So we have a large drainage draw that runs through the middle of the property, basically from State Road 9 all the way back to kind of the wooded area on Falls Park behind the football fields. And then there's a couple smaller drainage draws, which really when we started to lay out the neighborhood, it lended itself to here's where the roads want to be, here's where the home sites want to be, and really kind of take full advantage of the terrain that was given to us rather than spending a whole lot of money trying to make a flat site, which is what we typically start with. So if we go to the next page, you'll see how the layout of the development started. We initially started with just one entrance off of State Road 9 right in the middle. And
I do not have the original.
no, I took those out too.
Okay, good.
Yeah. So we went through 4 or 5 iterations of design and on this property, and for the Planning Commission last week, we agreed to eliminate our access directly to State Road 9, include a future or a roadway that would line up to Candlewood opposite State Road 9, so that we have an opposing intersection there that would afford the opportunity for Pendleton to extend that on down to the park if that's so desired in the future. So what you'll see now is a roadway that comes in off of State Road 9. Our entrance is about halfway back on the property, 400 to 500 feet or so. And we would construct Candlewood to that entrance. And then our entrance would come in off of Candlewood extension into the development. And the product that we are proposing is our attached paired villas, and that would be the yellow lots. And that would be the area that would be more adjacent to State Road 9. And then the single family detached home sites are towards the park. And again, taking ability of that terrain that's out there, we probably are going to see some lookout and walkout basement sites as part of that as well. And really the 2 cul-de-sacs to the right of the drawing overlook the Prairie Creek nature preserve area. And then the 1 cul-de-sac towards the left is somewhat overlooking the football fields and parking area of the park. So there would be a drainage detention facility that would be kind of towards the bottom of the hill, between those cul-de-sacs kind of at the bottom of that drainage draw there. And all of our stormwater would go through that detention pond and then to the ditch that runs over to Prairie Creek, the way the water currently flows to that location. The next page shows you some pictures. They probably show it better on the computer generated rather than on the drawings here. So these are actual photos that I took out of a project that we have in Cicero in northern Hamilton County. So we have duplexes. Those are our single family attached or compound paired villas. And I give you pictures of some backs and sides of those homes there. And then we have our single family comes out of our Smart Series product. And there's a few pages of product there. There's a couple different ranch plans and 8 or 9 plans of 2-story homes that range between 1,800 and 2,800 square feet. And then each of those have 3 to 4 elevations to choose from. So there's a lot of variety in the customer choices. And then I have the list of the commitments on the back pages of the document. We also provided those in a recordable format that once the zoning is approved, the current landowners would execute those, record them, and those run with the land after that.
That list of commitments is in your Google Drive folder that you can pull up and read through.
Things that we talked about in there, all homes will have 12-inch overhangs. We'll have trim around all the windows, so 1x3 trim board around all windows, unless they're surrounded by brick. 18-foot wide driveway instead of 16. Limiting 4 feet of fence height, other than in the villas where we have a 1 8-foot section of fence that separates our patios, just to give a little bit of privacy between the homeowners there. We've agreed to a 12-foot walkway from our main entrance down to the park to make connection to the Falls Park. We understand that the town desires to see parking on one side of the street, so we understand that. We agree to that commitment. Although we do believe that the parking should be enforced by the town. So obviously we would sign it and things like that and work with our buyers so that they understand what that is going to be the expectation. Your current design standards, 30-foot back-to-back on the street design, street trees. And then we also will have common area, both adjacent to State Road 9 of 30 feet. And then we're showing a 30-foot common area along the Candlewood Drive extension that would go all the way down to the park. And we would also be dedicating a 60-foot right-of-way for Candlewood that would go from Prairie Creek, or I'm sorry, from State Road 9 all the way down to Falls Park. The only thing that is of a concern is lining up the entrance of Candlewood at State Road 9 to Candlewood. We probably need some right of way on the south side from the adjacent property owner in order to get that road to line up. So we can get our 30-foot road in there, but it'll be a little bit offset. So we're pretty confident in that's going to require us to make those streets line up. And that'll be something that we work through with the landowner next door and in that when we go into the next stages of development. With that, I'd entertain any questions that you may have.
You mentioned that trim around the windows, doors on that. What type of siding would be on these homes?
So we use vinyl siding. We use a 0.46 siding material. It's a little more upgraded from what you've seen around in the past. We have multiple textures of that siding. I kind of breezed over the way that we build our homes too, but if you go back a couple slides, go to that green board side. So one of the things that MI does is, and this is something that really you see in the custom market, is we use the zip siding underlayment, which is a structural plywood with a waterproof backing that you don't need the house wrap any longer. You tape it. So then when you put the siding on, you have a structural backer to nail to. And then the villas will be, the exterior maintenance of the villas will be handled by the HOA. So that's really the importance of the vinyl, is as a kind of a maintenance-free item, and something that the HOA is going to be maintaining, so they'll all be uniformly maintained.
How thick is the zip board?
I believe it's half inch or it's probably half inch.
And the villas you keep talking about, are they condos, rentals? What are they?
Everything is single family for sale. So it's a fee simple transaction. So when you buy a unit, you're buying a unit that has a shared wall.
Right.
So you own the unit and the land that it sits on.
And then it's up to those people to start their own home.
No, we'll create an HOA for them, so that there is a fee that is established. So we professionally manage the HOA. There will be dues that are collected on a monthly basis for the exterior maintenance. And because we do the exterior maintenance, we also have the owner or the HOA carry the homeowner's insurance for the structure. So the owner of the building gets it's not quite a condo policy and it's not a renter's policy, but they call it a walls-in policy. So you insure the contents and the interior of the unit, and the HOA will insure the exterior of the unit.
At what point do you convey that to the residents, the HOA?
So the HOA is converted or given to the HOA to manage at 80%.
Okay.
Yeah. But from day one, we do have a professional management company that handles it. So we build it and then we hire somebody to manage it, and we oversee that management.
Right. Okay.
I'm still hung up on the siding. I think for the price range that we're looking at here, $250,000 to $300,000 plus for single family, that's a nice home, be a nice condominium. And I think it sounds good, but the vinyl, I think you mentioned about maintenance free in the vinyl. I get that to some degree, but I see a lot of, and I've got a house and vinyl siding in my house on this, but it seems like after a period of time, you see a lot of homes, vinyl siding, they get mold on them. They don't strike me as maintenance free. And if you have a 2-story house, sometimes the homeowner is not able to do much to remedy that issue with the mold. It seems to be, you see a lot of it. I guess I have some concern about the maintenance free from the standpoint of mold on vinyl that for whatever reason seems to, particularly on like on the north side of where you're not getting hit by the sun sometimes during the day, mold is an issue. And I'm not a big fan of that, particularly when you look at this kind of a price range. I guess I get the Hardy Blank. I know you have paint it, you have cost for that, some more expensive product. But in my view, we're looking at nice homes, nice quality homes. I have some concerns about vinyl siding, like Hardy Blank brick, something vinyl aluminum seems for that price range causes me concern.
So as far as maintenance, every material that you put on a house has maintenance.
Yeah, wouldn't disagree with that.
So when we look at vinyl versus hardy plank versus wood, even to masonry, so vinyl, you have to wash vinyl just like you have to wash a wood house. I think there are examples around where maybe hasn't been done very well. Not just in this community, but in many places. And then Hardy Point, I've always kind of said, well, it'll never rot off the wall, but it's not always going to look good because it also has to be maintained. It has to be washed, it has to be painted, and wood is the same way. You have to wash wood. I have wood on my house. Actually, the woodpeckers are liking my house more than anything these days. So, so you have issues with all of them, but from a maintenance perspective, the least amount of cost of maintenance is in the vinyl. To get rid of the mold that you see on the vinyl, and I think mold grows on the wood as well. Maybe it's not as prevalent, visual prevalence, but it's there. So that's one of those things that if we can't get someone to wash the house for $150 a year, to $5,000 or $6,000 every 3 to 5 years to paint the house is going to be even more burdensome for them. So it really comes down to a somewhat of an affordability perspective. We have homes in Cicero, same style home, the duplexes and the single family detached that are ranging in price anywhere between $250,000 in the duplexes to almost $350,000 in the single families with this material. So I just think, eyes wide open, kind of a bigger picture on housing and affordability and easeability for maintenance and ability for the resident that's going to live there to be able to afford to, do that maintenance on the house as well.
Pro and con.
Pros and cons. There's pros and cons for everything.
At the beginning of the presentation, Mr. Austin said that there was 55 acres. Is that correct?
There's about 54 and some change.
Okay.
Total.
And how many houses were we thinking about throwing on 54 acres?
We have I think it's 142.
142. $13 acres there.
So it's showing right here on this, I might be reading this wrong, but it's only showing 13 acres is what's mapped out right now, or is that just?
South Madison.
Okay.
Along with the two.
And then
they had it to the south. It runs up along Candlewood.
There's 3 parcels total.
In that.
Part of the project, yeah.
Yeah. One of those parcels is actually going to be almost 100% road. The 60 feet by the distance to the park that's almost exclusive. It's all the South Madison Corporation or Community Foundation's property. So 60 of the 100 is that right away that we're showing.
Okay.
What I was just trying to get at, I'm trying to get an idea of how many homes per acre.
2.58.
I was going to say it's about 2.5.
Okay, that's what I thought you were changing that just a little bit with the road. So 2.5 homes per acre.
But that doesn't take out the pond.
That's just that's the raw acre.
That's the raw acreage.
Yeah, that's the gross number.
How far apart will these homes be?
So there'd be about 15 feet of separation between houses.
Some of this will have to get decided upon later. If this gets approved tonight, it will go through the primary plat process. And if there's things that don't match up with what our current zoning for 2-family, the lot width or the lot sizes, then those types of items would get kicked over to the Board of Zoning Appeals. And the Board of Zoning Appeals would then determine, how far we can vary, how far MI can vary from our ordinance. So some of these questions may be a little hard for answers to be given tonight at this point, because this is not a primary plat that we're looking at. It is for a reason. So please remember it's somewhat conceptual still. All right, let me speak a little bit about what we worked on as staff and issues that we thought were important. Like Jonathan said, they started out with what we were calling in-house the mid-block cut on the State Road 67. As staff, we really didn't think that was appropriate for our community with the issues that we have on other areas of State Road 67. Having a local subdivision road connecting to an arterial road, again, we just didn't think it was appropriate. So we did push for that Candlewood Drive extension. If we look back at the documents for the sports complex from 2002, when that was constructed, it was very intentional that this parcel was laid out. The parcel on the south side of this property was laid out to be a connection into Falls Park at some point. Actually, Scott's father worked on it. So it was kind of fun digging around and looking at documents from way back when this was first done. I think Scott enjoyed it as well. What else do we have? Let me see my staff recommendation to the section. Drive extension. Of course, the curb cuts then along State Road 67 would be limited to Candlewood Drive. This, of course, we would have police and fire look at it. We know it's a subdivision full of cul-de-sacs at this point. However, the way that the land is laid out, like Jonathan was describing, there's a lot of terrain on it. Normally, with our zoning ordinance, we are very proactive in pushing developers to make sure that they connect up to existing subdivisions or making cuts for future subdivisions to go in. This case, it's really kind of a landlocked piece with the park and the wetlands to the northwest. So there really isn't a lot of opportunity for there to be connectivity as we usually try to get. We also ask that the petitioner connects the subdivision to Falls Park with a side path, which they've done. We also were pushing that the petitioner would connect the subdivision to the planned business zoning district to the south, which they've also accommodated that request as well. Into at the last plan commission meeting, and like Mr. Austin noted, we got a 5-2 recommendation for approval on the ordinance. And I think we can open, unless you guys have any questions for me specifically on this, I guess we can open it up to public comment, if any.
Open it up for public comment.
Do any members of the public, okay, I got one hand that just got raised. Marcy, stop.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
I just wanted to, I'm of course not in the city limits, but I have been serving on the steering committee for the UDO. And I just wanted to say that this project fits well within everything that's been discussed in that steering committee. That you know, I've looked at their products. They use good products. The concern about the siding, they use an upgraded vinyl siding, which is a good product. And people want low maintenance. There's a lot of, especially this particular project with the condominium living, people want low maintenance. That's why they build this, is because there's a market for it and there's a desire for it. So I just think that the community needs this. I've talked to realtors. They just are screaming for these homes. So I just think we ought to be favorable with them. That's everything.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any other members of the public who would like to speak?
Do we make a motion to approve the rezoning? Do we,
You can entertain a motion. You've got three options tonight. You can vote, first off, only one reading is required for a zoning ordinance to amend the maps. You have two choices. You can approve this ordinance, or you can deny this ordinance. What you don't have the option on zoning maps, you cannot modify. On things like, well, we could have done that on the moratorium, for instance. We could have modified the time or the type of moratorium. But on maps, you have, it's a up-down type thing. You have to, the statute says you have to make a decision within 90 days or the plan commission's recommendation becomes effective. So a tabling to look at this in more detail would also be proper, not necessary. You can pass it tonight. But it's good. So you have those, I guess, those three options. You can push it out for tabling. I know the conditions weren't in their final form until this morning. We got them to you a little late. I apologize for that. And the also you are missing a member tonight due to a family situation. So you can table it, but there's as well. Really,
Discussion on that, Jeff. I think if we were to table that, we could still, if we acted on that at the December meeting, we'd be easily within the 90 days.
oh yeah.
So
You just got it certified to you this week. And so,
we just got it.
yeah, you got plenty of time. You got until what, probably your February meeting.
I would myself would prefer that we table this for now. Chet's not here. All five of us are not here, and then give the opportunity to weigh in as well, and that we have time within the timeframes you referred to act upon that. We just got some of this today. I need to make a note on this myself, on this evening. And make a motion to table this.
there's a motion to table the reading of ordinance 20-25.
I would like to second that.
I have a motion and a second for a table of the ordinance. Call vote, please.
Robert Jones.
Aye.
Marissa Skaggs.
Aye.
Shane Davis.
Aye.
Steve Denny.
No.
All right. Is there any public comments?
Are there any comments from?
Stereo.
No public comments?
No one online.
All right, I move to adjourn.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Good job, Dawn. Nice math. John Hancock.
I got it at the loop.
I ain't here.
I got it at the loop.
I think it goes on.
I'll sign down here. Steve. The rest of them can sign up.
I remember that.
I want to get one of those carbon masks.
Oh, really?
Yeah, carbon.